when I'm feeding her, she's not coordinating. And you really have to use a lot of strength and a lot of time to make sure that she's full. Mom, relax. Relax. And she does not chew. She has never chewed since her birth. So I have to give her semi-solid, things that will not shock her. The other thing, you have to use a lot of energy because I don't understand. She has a lot of strength that can even break you. Sometimes I even throw her somewhere to relax my muscles. If I am feeding her, I clear the tables, I throw her on the seat to relax. Because sometimes you can't fold her. If she has decided to remain straight, you can't fold her. If she has decided to fold herself, you cannot straighten her. My name is Beatrice Mwangi. I was born in Nyeri, raised up by a single mother in a family of 7 siblings. And I thank God for my single mom who took me to school. She was only able to take me up to class 8. And that's my level of education. Although after I became a house girl for 2 years, I went to a polytechnic where I did my dressmaking course. Although when I was a small girl, I used to say I will be a nurse. I wanted to be a nurse, but life went on like that, and I've never been in a secondary school uniform, so I like preaching to the youths. And sometimes I shock them by telling them they are privileged, they are in high school. I've never sat behind a locker. Mine ended in a desk. I knew the Lord when I was in primary school, and that gave my life a lot of hope because I could see the struggles my mom was going through, and I really got into prayers, and I didn't want to face some of the challenges I saw her face as a single mother. And now my time came. I got a handsome man in church, and in 2007 we began a relationship which led into marriage, and we got married in church. He walked me down the aisle, and after that, in 2008, I got a beautiful bouncing baby girl, Jemima, who, due to difficulties in giving birth, she turned out to have some challenges, and she became a survivor of cerebral palsy. So since then, my life changed. I gave birth at Gong, and that is where now my baby was pulled out. So because I had a very prolonged labor, and they didn't take me to theater. So now, on the third day after they had discharged me in the house, they discharged me immediately the second day. After I gave birth today, tomorrow they discharged me, and they didn't warn me or not. My baby haven't cried. She didn't cry for the first kind of 1 hour also. She was in machines. I could only hear the voices of machines. So when they gave me the discharge, on the first day, first night, second night, my child was okay. She was crying at night, she was sucking. But on the third day, she could not cry, she could not sleep, she could not suck. So I was straining with milk, and then I didn't know what to do. I tried to suck her, she's not sleeping, but at the end of the day, I had a good neighbor. When I called her, she had a visiting friend, a nurse. When they looked at my baby, she was yellow. So that is how I was rushed back to the hospital in Gong. They just gave her an injection, then I was sent to Kenyatta. It was an emergency. I arrived in Kenyatta due to jam by 8. And when I arrived, it was an emergency. In fact, it was a bad emergency because they tried to get out the blood for samples. It was not possible. They had to tie her to get the blood and then to sample it. But there's something I will never forget what the doctor said. This is a 7 minutes case to collapse. That is what the doctor said. So they took everybody else that was waiting to be taken to the ward with me. They took her in the phototherapy. They started looking for blood to transfuse. She had blood exchange. Yeah, so they cut the umbilical cord, but there are things they were looking for. There's something they sought for so many hours. It was even, they were even calling in Mombasa in different hospitals to get something they were calling a two-way for a newborn. So, and I remember we had to hire a taxi to go for the nurse who was confirming there is one. We were in ward 8. She was saying there is one in ward 8 she had seen for a newborn. So she had to be taken from Buruburu to Kenyatta to come and get it because the nurses had sorted it was not anywhere to be found. So when she came, my daughter was taken to the process by 3 of the blood exchange. So all this time the nurses are giving me some cold, wet, some fridge watered clothes to ease the pain of the milk. So by noon they called me and told me my daughter had collapsed. My daughter was no more. So this is just a miracle. But now she had so many things. She had the lines for the medicine. She had the oxygen. She was like something. And now they had done the exchange. That is when they said she was dead. But I requested them. She was in acute. I requested them to give me time just for 3 days. Then I will accept. But on the 3rd day, they didn't do anything for those 3 days. I was on my knees there. In fact, I called somebody to bring me a bucket. That was my toilet. Every time the doctors are coming loud, they are checking on me. You're still allowed, so the nurse gives the story, and then they go. The nurse gives the story, they come, they check, nothing. She was also on oxygen. So she was there for those 3 days, but on the 3rd day, that day sasa tulikuwa tumeambiwa, kuna nasi mmoja alikuwa ananiambia, unajua siku zimebaki ni leo tu, namwambia nakumbuka hivyo ni leo. So I was on God, na nilikuwa nashika mashuka hivi naambia Mungu tafadhali usikubali bubu yangu ilikuwa kaburi. I pray that you allow me to go back with my baby. So that is how my story was. On the 3rd day when she excreted, I shouted. The nurses came in. I kept checking. Nilikuwa nafinya nasikiaga sijui mtu. Yenyewe alikuwa ametan, alikuwa kigreenish. So I was doing those things I could know. And I was telling her, Jemima, you are so beautiful, you have to come back to life. So nurses wanafugua tu, wanapata, ninaogeresha mtoto hapo, wananiuliza huko tu, wanatoka. So it was not easy because sometimes kwa hizo siku 3 hata babake hakuja all the times, but my siblings were coming. Babake alikuwa anakuja asubuhi, lakini on the 2nd day, sasa venye ilisemekana ameaga, kuna maneno pia aliniambia makali, sasa kama ameaga nini ingine tunagoja. So nikamwambia juu nimewaomba siku 3 na wamekubali, tafadhali wacha tu nikae na yeye hizo siku 3. Then I will know what God can do. So when she excreted, that is when now they returned the treatment. They returned the water, wakaweka hiyo maji. They were taking now the blood samples. Hizo walikuwa na check the bilirubins every morning. They were taking those 3 bottles, checking. Walikuwa nasiita bilirubins. I almost became a doctor. So tulikaa hapo acute 2 weeks. Tukapelekwa kwa main ward. So now, in fact, I have some photos in the main ward. How happy I was in that cot holding my baby. Okay, I couldn't breastfeed her. She had a pipe for feeding. So the doctor could tell me how many milliliters I'm to express. Then I could squeeze through the pipe. So I was so happy. I was like, my daughter has just walked. I don't know what I can explain because the joy was, it could really express itself. And when I shouted, the whole ward was to check on me. Everybody came to where I was. And I told them my baby is alive. I'm going home with my baby. Now I wasn't even seeing there is much treatment to be done. I was telling the doctors, I thank God I'm going home with my babies. I'm not going, siendi na maleso tupu, naenda na mtoto wangu. Okay, the father also took, they were asking me to take her to get the meningitis test, but me, I told them I am not able. So we waited for the father. He came, he took her, the way they fold to get the meningitis from the backbone. And after that, we were sat for counseling. Then we were told, your daughter is okay, she is safe from meningitis, but your beautiful daughter will have delayed milestones. That is the language I got from Kenyatta. So, and we were with the father, and I asked, what do you mean by delayed milestones? And she told me, because of the process she has gone through, she may not do things at the time the normal children, at the time children do. She didn't even use a normal. She may not do things at the time children do. So I went home knowing my daughter will just have some delayed milestone. Now, along the way, that is when now we were told about therapy. You know, we were consistent with the clinic 23 in Kenyatta. The consistency, now we learned we need to begin therapies. And now we are on medication until when the doctor, they were not telling us for lifetime because she also had conversions. Now, the conversions after she revived were those, you know, she was still very tiny. Now the conversions were happening even when we were in the ward. She could just do some things and stretch herself and open her eyes wide. So now the doctors told me, because of that, we will be on medication. Nothing was a bad alarm until now, on the 4th month, that is when they told us, your daughter, because of the process she went through, she had a brain damage. The 4th month. And in fact, okay, the clinics were so much on Kenyatta, she did not even get the normal immunizations. They said that they could be too painful for her, so they were requesting that she ought to have an immunization that is called a cellular. I still inquire up to date. Cellular, which is not painful. But then it was only available in Mombasa General Hospital, and they were telling us, you know, they expire. They were telling us we have to pay 12,000 for the flight. So that is one, and they were going for 3 months. So that is how she ended up not having any. In fact, my daughter have not had any immunization. They discouraged. They said she could not bear all that pain. So as she sleeps there, every immunization that is required, God does it. So after that, we went home. We kept following with the Kenyatta clinics, with therapies. Now we got a place, another place in Karen Health Center. There is a government health center in Karen. So we were introduced by one of the doctors in Kenyatta. There was one doctor who was committed. All this time I was in the ward. She was Dr. Kombo, a small girl, tiny-bodied. Dr. Kombo used to work on my daughter like she was the only patient in the hospital. And now you see, even when they read, you know, you don't understand the language of the doctors. They tell you, ni delayed milestone atakuwa nayo. Just on the 4th month, to learn she got a brain damage. So for me, delayed milestone was very friendly. But now when I understood she got a brain damage, I was trying to get books to read about brain damage, and now that is how I learned. When the brain is damaged, that is how people become paralyzed, and yeah, I was trying to get books from any source. And so from there, now the journey with the father, I had to go back to work. So now I had a shop where I could leave him with the house girl, the father, now that he stopped working. And whenever I didn't have a house girl, he could handle the child and the shop. Up to that point, it was not so bad until when I learned I was expectant. Although when my daughter was 3 months, he was also from a broken family, my husband, yes. And they didn't love the way they were brought up, because the mother left them and went back to her home and got other children and forgot about those he had left with the father. And so they didn't have any attachment. In fact, I was the one who was cultivating it. So the mother came and we became good friends. But now there is sometimes she could tell me she's missing my daughter, and I could send her bus fare to come and say hi. And now, she is speaking it to the son with excitement. So the son wants me. The next time you send her money to come in my house, it will not be good. So mama ananipigia. Ananiambia anamisi kuona mtoto. Mimi namwambia sina pesa kwa saa hii kwa sababu ya clinics. Ananiambia wacha tu nitafute, nikirudi nitakuja kufanya kibarua nirudishe. So the mother came. How could he tell the son that I'm not the one who sent him the bus fare? So that day when my daughter was 3 months, I was beaten when the mother had visited us. 3 months, mamake amekuja and she's with me in the evening. He comes in, says hi to us, goes to the bedroom. So I call him to eat, he doesn't want to eat. So when I went to bed, usinisumbue, what did I tell you? Nilikuambia mamangu asiwahi kuja hapa kwangu. Si ni wewe tu ulimtumia fare. Nikamwambia hapana, aliniambia na miss mtoto na akasema atatafuta fare juu nilimwambia sina juu ya vile tunaenda hospitali. He beat me up. Nilitandikwa vizuri. Ni kitu yenye hata mamake alishtuka sana. But the following, sasa the neighbors took me. I spent in the neighbor's house. I was weeping bitterly. Nilitoka tu nikatembea. Very early in the morning nilitoka huko kwenye nililala kwa neighbor. All the fears I had about getting married to this man started now being very clear. Na mamake pia hakupendezwa. Jioni nilijileta tu, nilifikiria tu mtoto wangu na nikaona Mungu hajaniua. Nikarudi. Alikuwa amenichapa vizuri, nilikuwa nimefura because unajua ni kitu sikuwa na expect. So my violence began then at my daughter's 3 months old. So from there, now I had the fears that developed. And he was those cool guys. Mwenye hata akifanya kitu, you will say, si yeye, amewekelewa. I'll show you his photo. He was those cool guys. So from there, now marriage, it's me now, I had to go back to work. Marriage sasa imekuwa soa. Sasa na hakuna kitu anafanya kwa nyumba. I'm the man in the house. I'm paying the rent. I have to clothe them all. I could not predict when to be beaten or not. So I am trying to be quiet like he is. Why are you quiet on me? So he comes home. I don't know what to expect. He feels I am not laughing the way I should laugh. I am beaten. He feels I'm not talking the way I should be talking, I'm beaten. So I'm silent, I'm beaten. I am talking, I'm beaten. So I didn't predict when to be beaten. Sometimes you go to the bedroom, maybe you move something to the direction that you think good, you are beaten. So it became, he checks on something like my ATMs. He wanted to see them where they are supposed to be every day, and he could check daily. Then he could check the balances in the bank. And sometimes he could sit in the shop to watch whether you are selling, where you are taking the money. In fact, life began being very sore after that beating. So I could do things for the sake. So namwambia, now I can't keep closing the shop, and we have to pay the rent, we have to eat, and we have to pay for the medication of the baby. So you take the child to the clinic, which he used to do so well. So well. He loved the daughter. That is one part I don't understand. Love, I don't understand, because this is my 9th year. I'm hitting 9 years since we separated. We separated on November 18th, 2012. And now I'm almost 9 years. He's nowhere checking on his daughter, who I thought he had loved. I thought even if I wanted to be away from him, he could not allow me to go with the baby, which I learned later it was just another pretense. In fact, he even changed his number, his mobile. He even changed his mobile. So I wonder, what is this really which was pushing this guy? I would even love somebody to check on him and know whether he can even talk of us as his first family. I would really love to hear from somebody. So when this guy now began those violence, my life now in marriage is becoming sour. He's not doing anything, but whenever I don't have a house help, he's handling the daughter well. Whenever he could walk aloud holding my hand, ananichapa, and then he selects the clothes he wants. He wants us to go talk and solve those things out on my account. But he will walk holding my hand. So even you who are coming to rescue me from the fights, you will be ashamed. Because the love he is showing out there, he could carry my handbag when we are not carrying the baby and hold my hand. And so those are some of the things that really suppressed my heart. And I didn't understand it all. In church, he used to stay with the daughter all the time. But now, it became even worse when I expected. Now, you see, I was seeing my gain about, because I had grown too big, and my weight was too heavy on me. So when I went to my doctor, he told me now about changing the family planning. And so when I changed, I realized that what happened is that I was not disciplined enough to take the pills, and I got expectant. In fact, I called my friend who hosted me in Nairobi when I came to Nairobi. I called her. We had become very good friends. I told her, Mercy, I'm feeling something strange, and I'm wondering, because this guy was saying, hatutapata mtoto mwingine mpaka huyu akue sawa. That was his take. We will not give birth to another child until, and he is also not schooled. He is not also schooled, so we were two foolish guys around. So when my friend was coming, she came with a kit, and we tested. It was positive. So I had to make him know that I was expectant. And it was noticed. That pregnancy, I had to encourage myself in the Lord all along. And I was a praise and worship leader. Up to date, I like narrating that, because I could read worship, and people could just go before the Lord and pour themselves there all over crying and praying. But I'm here weeping. I'm not weeping because the presence is so heavy on me. I'm weeping because of what I'm going through. And then the Lord is allowing me to come and lead his people with all the pain. Sometimes natandikwa hiyo asubuhi na tunatembea nikishikwa mkono. So this time it's yes. In fact, when I was taken to the hospital, I was taken by a neighbor. When I was taken to the hospital, he did not come. He wasn't calling. In fact, my pastor, I respect Pastor Dakaranja, he kept inquiring, Beatrice, wamekupeleka theater? Because now we had shared the story to the pastor where we were fellowshipping. Although where we wedded, it's not where we were now. So now, here I am. I have gone to the St. Mary's to deliver, and he's not calling. So, and he was not happy at all when he learned that I was expectant. He was asking me, why don't you use your head? It was not easy for me, that pregnancy. But I used to talk to my baby. I didn't know what it was. But I was telling my baby, I love you so much. I'm expecting you. You have to come. You will not have a brain damage. You will not have any disability. So I could talk to the baby, and I could encourage myself not to be... I couldn't really talk to myself. So when I went, they took out the baby. They showed me the baby was there. In fact, I prayed in Thanksgiving until they had to tell me, Mama, now you have to be calm for us to finish before the minutes are over. And now finally I was taken to the ward. He came. When he found it was a boy, because I also didn't call him, he said, Kehe, no waka. He kept them back on the bed. honey boy, you have come. Know that boys are not to be soothed all the time. And then he laid him on the bed. That was the welcome to the son. And so that is how life grew. In fact, he was so much attached to the girl, but the boy does not know the father's love up to now. And even when I try to tell him I want him to know his daddy, he tells me if he didn't wanted, if the daddy loved him, he could have waited for him to know him, then he goes. So him not knowing the daddy is more wood than the way he could have known him, then he leaves. So he tells me he's not interested in knowing his dad. So we used to have those internal quarrels. I'm paying the house girl, I'm restocking the shop. So after some time, we realized that coming from Gong to town was becoming tedious because of the jam. So we looked for a house in Setright to try to ease my journey to town. When we came to Setright, he said he wanted to operate a dairy. I put him up a dairy for the milk. After some time, the dairy was down. No capital, no what. He started selling even the things that he used to keep the milk with. So again, he was idle. He was a briefcase pastor. He could go preaching. Ukambani kwanza alikuwa anaenda sana. So he was a man of God. So when time came, now he again said he wants to put up a hotel. I put him up a hotel in this course. So we are living in Setright. I'm going to act in town. He is now operating a hotel in Setright. In fact, hotel yake ilikuwa inaitwa hotel ya pastor. And the people from Lescos loved that place. He could make beans, he could boil beans a full debe, degu special a full debe, chapatis a bale, but by the time he is coming, he has only paid the workers, he has nothing. So sometimes I could try and be there. Nione ile biashara ina make pesa gapi. Hiyo biashara ilikuwa ina make hata 4,000 profit after amelipa kila kitu na wafanyikazi, but he never used to have any money. So even many times I used to keep boosting the business. Because he was doing a good work, people used to crop there, but it was not doing anything in the house. Alafu, pia, that is when now he got the guts not to be sleeping in the house. So now he is not coming, anasema amefuga late, ameona tu alale huko, nikipigia wenye najua wanalala kwa hoteli wananiambia alitoka. So he is not in the hotel, he is not picking my phone any longer, and he is not home. Then I decided, you see now the strain is becoming more. Now our relationship is deteriorating. So I decided we are going to shift from Setright, we live in Lescos, near the hotel. So now the hotel was just a few meters from the house. So I told the house help, you'll be going for food there. Hakuna kupika kwa nyumba. You go and make order for the children. Now my boy is also eating. My boy began eating very early. So again, it became so hard for him because now I'm not giving time to cheat on me at night. Because I will come from job, I will go checking, I will tell him I'm waiting for him, we go home. Because the ladies he is moving around with are some of the girls he has employed there. So that is how now it even worsened. Because now he could beat me up, go to the house. Tulikuwa tunafurugana saa zingine hata hapo kwa hoteli. Namwambia, no, I'm waiting for you. Because ninatoka hapo, he will not come in the house. Na nyumba ni hapo nyuma, na hayuko kwa hoteli. Na nikimpigia simu, saa zingine alikuwa anapokea ananiambia, use your airtime wisely, anakata. Have you ever seen the best couples that you can want to associate with? Every youth wanted to have a marriage like ours. When our son turned 1 year, we bested a wedding, and we were not talking to each other. So even in that, as we were leaving the house that morning to go to where the bride was, nilikuwa namuuliza, sasa watu wakajua ile kujifanya tunakuaga nayo na venye tunajionyeshanaga huku tuko sawa. Wanaweza sema nini? Kulingana, kuna wakati nilikuwa naenda kanisa nimefula. ninaulizwa umefanya nini, nasema hata mimi sielewi. So unajua ile hata unasema hivyo na unakimbia kwa choo kulia. Sasa nilisema huyu mtu akinigonga nife, because there is a time alinitandika nika bleed for 2 weeks. So I didn't know what was messy. Na nikienda kule Nairobi women wananipatia tu madawa and then counseling. Na akiitwa yeye, he is nowhere to be found. Mimi nikamwambia hatutalala kwa hii nyumba pamoja. Akaniambia basi wewe enda tu nyumbani utulie kidogo. Alafu urudi na sitarudia hayo mambo. And that was our good end. Sasa ikawa ni maisha mpya nimeanza. Pale nilienda kwa hoteli, sasa mambo ya kushona na mambo ya kuwa na workshop na biashara ya uniforms. Zile zilikuwa zimebaki ziko kwa magunia na sunguka nazo. Even as we are speaking, there is none of those casual jobs I don't do. Nikipata kibarua ya kufua nguo, ninafua. Nikipata kibarua ya mtu anataka mtu wa kumulimia nalima. Na saa hiyo, sasa hata ndio nilikuwa juu mtoto wangu naye huwa ana change seasons. Unaona ni mtoto wako kwa conversions na kuna those jerky movements. Anaweza anguka, si mara moja nimeenda kibarua na kuja napata hakuna mtoto kwa kitanda. Alitoka akaanguka chini, sasa amelia amechoka. But now she has grown. And the movements due to therapy and her joints have relaxed. And she has a lot of movements. So I even need a proper bed. The doctor has really been telling me of some things, proper sitting, sitting position, proper sleeping. Because like now she sleeps like she's in a hole. Because I have to put the bed on the wall and then lift the bed with some pillows on the side such that she cannot fall. And I also wanted to say, when I came to Naivasha, now life was not very easy. So the little that was remaining, I decided I will look for a house that can have a shop. Those days, 2014. But then the house I got is just nearby here. The owner, I was not affording Pampers then. Although even today it's a big struggle. I was not affording diapers. So I could use clothes. Any absorbent clothing in the house could be used for nappies. Now you see, since the birth of Jemima up to now when she's almost celebrating her 13th birthday, she has never done toileting. So I have to use diaper or any appropriate material. If I don't afford the diaper, there are the napkins. If they are not available, I can use any cloth. And now that she is big, you don't get those panties that are fitting for a big person. So you can use paper bags. We have been using paper bags. You cut a paper bag, those polythene bags, before they were burned. I used to get them. You make holes on both sides. Then you use your clothes. She poo-poos on it. Then you clean. And that has been the life. And for the times you afford diapers, you use diapers and then throw them away. So you see now toileting, that is a big problem. And also feeding. Mom, relax. Relax. Mom, I have stayed without a special seat for so long, which also made me numb. Actually, the people I used to work for from the beginning noticed I had a problem even in the slowness of the way I was used to working, because my left hand got numb. Because she when I'm feeding her, she's not coordinating. And you really have to use a lot of strength and a lot of time to make sure that she's full. And she does not chew. She has never chewed since her birth. So I have to give her semi-solid things that will not shock her. The other thing, you have to use a lot of energy, because I don't understand, she has a lot of strength that can even break you. Sometimes I even throw her somewhere to relax my muscles. If I am feeding her, I clear the tables, I throw her on the seat to relax. Because sometimes you can't fold her. If she has decided to remain straight, you can't fold her. If she has decided to fold herself, you cannot straighten her. So it has been a real challenge. And above that challenge of toileting and feeding, my movements are also very affected, because even when I don't like traveling, leaving her behind. So it is almost like I don't travel. I only travel when I'm taking her for therapy. So sometimes you find like you are acting mad. Yes, you are not seeking for sympathy, you are really trying to make ends meet. And sometimes nobody understands you aloud. When you wear clothes and walk out, everybody will see you are a human being just like they are. And again, everybody has their challenges. So with that condition of living, with that condition, you leave her in the house and your mind is left with her. So you are just walking. You are walking aloud without your senses. When I came to Nairobi, from Nairobi in 2014, I was purposely coming because of a school. It's here. She was admitted well in 2014, January, and we began schooling. But then, that time she was even worse. You hear I had stopped therapy, then I'm on and off. And feeding, she didn't have a proper seat. And those people in school, feeding her was one of the difficult jobs. So I'm going for her at 3. My daughter is conversing. Her stomach is inside, it's at the back. She's conversing. We go to the hospital because of hunger. Conversions are normally caused by any unusual, you cannot predict. Because that is a question I've asked the doctors severally. You can never predict. She gets happy extremely, she converses. She gets hungry extremely, she converses. You feed her excess, she converses. So you have to balance her life. So when I came to that school, I was there for that 2014 and part of 2015. But then she could not cope with the place. And that is how that is how she stopped schooling. And again, the way I used again to take them to school, now the brother had also started baby class. The way I used to take them now to school and get a casual job and do fast before they come back, again now it got worse. And now I have to look for ways I've tied her in the house. And sometimes when I hear of people speaking about mtoto amefungwa, sometimes you don't tie them just in vain. You can't feed her. It is not one time, especially that time when I tried to do business. After I came from Nairobi, the house I got, when the owner saw that I was cleaning the napkins where people are using to go to their houses, because that was my cleaning position, they gave me a notice. And what she could say is that if people continue having this smell, they will shift from our houses. So the best thing is we make her go out of our plot. And so it was not easy, because the next place I landed was in a massive, somebody who had masses and had a mabati house that was roofed with the holes, with the iron sheets that had holes. So that is where I landed. The house was mud in the floor. So we used to, sometimes it is not easy, we used to feed, as we are in the feeding process, she just does like this and the food is poured. You don't have another meal. So what I used to do, I could serve my children, leave my food in the pot, so that if she pours hers, I will feed her mine. And before I moved in from that house, it was not easy, because sometimes we only have that meal. It's not that you have another, that if she pours, you cook. And again, I was using firewood, so you have to cook early because it is outside. Then you enter the house, you don't have that firewood to keep warming the food. You don't have to keep putting up the fire to warm the food. So some of the challenges that I have really encountered is that people don't want, even in the same plot I am right now, people can even call the caretaker. If I have put a basin outside, they will even call the caretaker to ask me to take the basin out from the plot. Because if somebody has visitors, it looks shaggy. So sometimes it's not easy. And if it's even that cleaning clothes, I do it here. There are so many negative things I have heard from the neighborhood. Sometimes you'll clean your clothes and put them on the line. Immediately you have finished, somebody tells you to get the clothes off they want to clean. Or you are cleaning from the same place where others clean. You are asked to move your basins far because maybe if there is a water storage hole, you are told that that water can jump into the water storage and it will spoil. So I have had enough of the environment. And one of the biggest wishes I have is that day I will sleep and wake up in my compound, whereby if I leave my nappy here, nobody will be offended. Because sometimes you are changing her, she confesses, you drop that nappy there, now you try to manage her. By the time she's coming back, your head is not even in the napkin you kept on the way. Now all your mind again is on her. So you have so many unfinished things. You start cleaning clothes, she makes a funny sound, you run. So you'll first manage that. You have put her on the seat. She screams, she has been pricked. You go to manage her. What you are doing is another thing for another time. So there is nothing you do and complete. Like now, it is for a season. It's almost 1.5 years, even as we are speaking. I'm so sleepy, I'm so very nausea. Because she will not sleep at night, and you can't sleep either. Because when you wake up, you find her hands are very cold. You now wonder, even if you are to sleep, would you sleep while your daughter is? She will make sounds. She will beat the walls with her feet. You try to tie her, she will untie herself. She's so strong. So by the time you are trying to manage her, morning has come. She sleeps. Do you sleep because she sleeps? No. You have to know what they will eat, whether their clothes will be clean. You don't have a resting time. So now you see, with having all the negatives from the environment, from the neighborhood, because of you are cleaning the clothes, the feces, and you are making a lot of smells aloud. Then you try, like that time when I was in that band house, I was trying to do I buy bananas, I ripen them, then I go out selling. That time, my daughter was not so much in the open. That time, now she was in school. Then, in the long run, when I got her from school, again, now my head is becoming very numb. I'm not very fruitful in the cashew works. So I started beginning kibanda. I have been even into the market with my baby. Then even Kanjo could not ask me for any money. The municipal council could not ask me for any money. I'm coming with a carton. You see, she's big. I come with a carton. I put her in there, a long carton. She will tear it and then she will start rolling. So because I don't want to ask anybody for food. I don't want to ask anybody for soap. I have even cleaned clothes without soap, many times. So on the long run, I have tried doing many things. It is not that I'm just giving a story that I have cropped up. I have tried being in the market. I've tried taking things loud, whereby I'm trying to hide my daughter because the many negative things that people are saying about maybe the business I am trying to do about food, they are associating with my daughter. So I try to move things aloud where people doesn't know in the houses. And then you find you are not also finding enough time to sell and to attend to your children. The other thing, I really prayed. I believe in God, and I believe God answers prayers. And even now I know He will see me through, because even when I don't afford rent, I don't go shouting. I only go back on my knees and cry to God. And even caretakers and those people who collect money sometimes ridicule me. I have not paid rent for 2-3 months. And now what do you think will happen? What miracle do you think will happen so that you can pay? But anyway, God has been coming through. Like now I have not paid September and we are in October. But I know. And even the August and September, it is a miracle. I can say I live by miracle. And even now, God knows what I'm going through that I cannot share with men. There are things that sometimes, me like, even I don't care about myself using pads. I always improvise. Because what I get, will I go for my, and now I have been having a wonder, I've been asking myself, my daughter is also getting there. I don't even know how to go about it. We've been using diaper. Now she is almost starting to require pads. I don't even know how to manage that because she has never been on panties. So some of those realities that you cannot share with the men, they lay heavily on you, but then you don't have to look upon people. You have to trust God's ways in whichever capacity. The God who clothes the lilies has been clothing my children. In fact, we have been clothed by God. Even when things are so tough, you wear a smile and God makes you look okay. And now where I am, somebody shifted and she wanted to leave her things behind and live with somebody. That is how I am in this house. And now I decided again to try bring the grocery and the small shop items that I can afford. I buy 3 breads, I will sell until the expiry date. I buy 1 bale of unga. People will be passing there, they cannot. It is like a ridicule I just put upon myself. People don't buy here because they fear you will touch the baby as you are changing her diaper, and then you'll touch for them the things you are selling to them. Again, I'm not even enjoying being here. It is not any longer enjoyable. I thought it was a solution for me to be with my daughter. But it has become like a wood. Again, it's like a wood. Now, I'm even wondering, what else have I not done? And I am not alone. We are so many parents like this. And some of them look upon me and they think I'm doing well because sometimes when we meet in groups, we encourage one another. I give them hope, but sometimes even 10 shillings to go to where we are meeting, I don't have. I have to start working earlier. I close my daughter up. We go, we encourage one another because we formed a group of such parents whereby we only understand ourselves within ourselves. You sit, you talk, you encourage them, then you leave. You are living there crying because you don't even know what you are going to do. You open your shop, you cannot even sell 200 in a day. So I am now even thinking, okay, maybe if somebody could run the business, I don't know. But then, me being there with my child, it has become a source of ridicule, which is more painful. I think I've realized like it's now even more painful than those who are chasing me away from their plots. I find like that was a bit light. It was not as heavy as when people tell each other they cannot, and even if they see a customer coming once, twice, they will stop you and they will ask you, you don't fear. Hauogopi kupewa mafi ya mtoto. So sometimes it's not easy. I'm finding it even more difficult now because I think I cannot do business that is promising when I'm doing it aloud here with the condition of my baby, because there is no way. Some people will come and, hey, nilienda hapo hata nikatoka hapo nikitapika, nilipata akimulisha hivyo wanajimwagilia machakula. Now I don't know. Life must continue, but how? How? In such an environment, how now? And even your people, your siblings thinks you're okay. And one thing I also ask God, He has helped me to put a smile. Like I was saying, even when I was in that abusive marriage, I could laugh with brethren in church. I could be humorous even in the midst of people, but now I am finding, okay, I don't even have friends. If you can sit here and watch, even friends, the way somebody will just come from anywhere and come sit here with my baby or ask us, pray aloud with my children. I have been drained even friends. Okay, I thank God He made me a mother. That is one thing I'm very proud of. And one of the greatest things I appreciate, that God made me a mother. It does not matter, because I thank God He did not even make me cry twice. He gave me a special, beautiful girl, and He added me, even when it was not planned for. He added me a handsome boy who has really been a helping hand. My son has wiped my tears, and I think all aloud, watching at the people that have given me enough hope to live. My son has. Sometimes I listen to him when he is reading in prayers, because we do it alternatively. I listen to him praying for the sister, and I wake up stronger. He is expecting God to raise her sister before she becomes an adult wacheze. God, please raise my sister so that she can raise up and we pray. We pray with her. I want to show her many games. So I have really been proud of being a mother. That is one point. And also looking back at the frustrations of life that I have come across and have gone through, I am proud of knowing God. That is the greatest pride. The greatest pride in my life is knowing God, and just knowing that nothing happens behind his face. And also, even those things that seem so hard when you are contemplating within yourself, he has an explanation that they happen for good. And what Romans says, that all things works together for good. Sometimes you look at what good is really in this. You don't find it. But because God has said it, they work for good to those who love God and are called according to His purposes. So looking back and knowing that I know the Lord, He has separated me from the foolishness of those that say there is no God. And one of the things I'm expecting every morning is that God will raise my daughter from this disability. And that way, I close the everything else that I'm doing to see to it that she gets therapies. I will sacrifice myself even when circumstances are not allowing. Like now, she has not been sleeping, but I can't sleep when she sleeps. I have to wake up and make sure that I prepare what she needs to eat, and to make sure that by the time she's waking up, everything is in place. One of the things that I have searched and looked at in our nation that we parents with such children require is a relief. And one of the relief that one can get is when I have my home, whereby I can layer this and that and that. Even if I'm not able to make much, I'm layering some chicken, I have enough rest, and I am not offending anybody by leaving my basin outside. When I was cleaning clothes and my child woke up, I stopped cleaning clothes. I came to feed my daughter. If such a relief can be found, not only for me, but for every parent with this struggle. I know of parents who tie their children. They can't, hawezi enda hata kwa choo kama hakuna mtu wa kumshikilia. So me, if I can be accorded any help, nijipate, I get myself in my own home, I think I can even be a blessing to some other parents like this. Because I can even sit with their children in my home, not like here. Mine is here, and I'm already offending people. But if I had my own home, I could even sponsor to be looking after such children, maybe with the help of one or two people, so that we can relieve the parents. So there are those things that I need daily, those diapers, things like now the fruits, something to crush the fruits, and also the rent. I am not able to raise rent for where I am living even today. Even today, as we are speaking, I have the stress of some unpaid rent. So daily needs, I think daily needs, I am in that whole package. Now you see, tomorrow is my therapy day. I will have to close. And I need money. I will need money for the therapy. And therapy is also another thing that has become a luxury. So those people without money are not affording to take their children for therapies. They are costly. So those are some of the daily needs. The people, like even in the government hospital, you find those people that a child is supposed to be seen at least 3 days in a week. But for us who cannot afford the money for back doors, yours is seen three times a year. So, and the same doctors advises you, therapy is like food. So you wonder what it exactly means. We are a group of heroes and heroines because we fight a battle that nobody can comprehend. I don't also myself know how I go through it. It's not an easy journey. So, what I can tell to fellow parents with children with special needs is that the greatest thing you can shower to your child is love. And I always say that once you love your child, you have opened for them very wide doors for love from anybody. Even the unlovers will love her. Those that cannot afford to love somebody. When you open wide your love for your child, definitely love will find its way to her or him. So I can strongly say loudly that to every parent with a special child need, stand strong for your child. Let the world know that you are also a parent like any other parent. And let them know that you have a child like any other children. And stand out for them.